Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of DotaAlchemy.com, and in this video, I'm going to be explaining why I think Lycan is a very broken hero, and a hero that you can win a lot of MMR with still in your pubs, despite the nerfs in the past 6 months. Okay, so the first thing that I want to mention is that if you go to DotaBuff.com, and you check out the hero section, and then you check out the meta section, and you switch the tab to be Immortal and Divine bracket, you can see that at the top of the win rate, we have Lycan. He's sitting at about a 60% win rate, and it's very, very clear that this hero is winning pubs. So I think that number is very good. Obviously, it's the top hero in Dota, which is insane, but I still think that that's actually lower than what you can achieve with this hero if you know how to play it right. So basically, I think that Lycan is stuck in a bit of a state right now that Tiny was stuck in for a little bit after he got reworked. So Tiny, right now, we see him played as a support, as an offlaner, and people were still trying to play it as a carry when the rework came out for Tiny, and he was sitting at about a 40% win rate. Now Tiny, even though he's been nerfed since the rework, is considered to be one of the most broken heroes in the game. And the thing is, the only reason that his win rate was low at the start was because people were still playing it just exclusively as a carry, because people would go for, the old Aghanim Scepter build on Tiny, maybe get a Wisp, and run it as this kind of late game, hits really hard, builds a Daedalus carry. Tiny's not like that anymore. And I think Lycan is stuck in that state too, where a lot of people are playing this hero as a carry, but I think it's actually best if you can play it in multiple roles. I think this hero is an amazing offlaner. I think that his best role is probably in the offlane, and then I think that he's an amazing carry, of course. I think that he's a good mid laner, depending on what your matchup is, and then probably a decent support as well. So I think that the win rate, given that people are basically exclusively playing this hero as a carry, I think the win rate on Dota Buff is actually lower than it should be if people were playing this hero correctly, which I think is mostly as an offlaner and a versatile pick that can go in whatever role you're comfortable playing in a certain game. So that's the first thing. The win rate is very good, despite what I think is people playing it in the wrong role. So the second reason that I want to cover for why I think that this hero is very, very strong right now is kind of a patch-based analysis, changelog-based analysis. So basically, what I like to do, this is maybe just a me thing, but I like to not really just consider trends and why heroes are good in terms of people picking them. Instead, I like to think about what actually changed to make a hero good. So for instance, I think Axe is really strong right now because of the stout shield changes, mathematically just making it so the double stout shield is more effective. For some reason, it just helps me sleep at night to think of things that way and to basically make excuses for why heroes are very strong. And this is my argument for Lycan. So essentially, when this hero was originally changed at the start of this spree of nerfs and these small mini patches that Ice Frog has been going on, Lycan was incredibly, incredibly strong. We saw that Necrophos got buffed in that patch. That hero is still considered very strong. Mirana got buffed in that patch. It took a little while for her to come into fruition, but we see her a lot now. Bloodseeker got buffed, and Lycan got buffed. These heroes were considered cancer in the grand scheme of things when it came to pubs and competitive as well. And that was just due to that one big patch where they changed how these heroes worked. Since then, Ice Frog has been going, like I said, on this flurry of mini patches, and it's mostly been nerfs. Lycan was one of the first heroes that got hit by this flurry of nerfs. He got nerfed so that he has less base damage at level 1, he has lower armor at level 1, 0 armor, and then his spells got nerfed, but only in the early levels. He's still the same in the late game, and even in the early levels, it wasn't that huge of changes. But even with that being said, the hero still fell off. And I think since then, there's been enough nerfs to other heroes that are very, very strong that Lycan has stayed at the same level, and these other heroes have fallen below Lycan. And that's really my argument for, and a lot of the time you look at a hero like I said with Axe, you see that something gets buffed. Oh, that's why Axe is strong, because of a buff. A lot of the time, a hero comes into the meta because of buffs. But I think because of this flurry of nerfs that Ice Frog has been doing, Lycan is strong in the current meta, not because of buffs, but because of nerfs. So essentially, I think that every other hero has been nerfed around Lycan. Every other offlaner that was strong, every other carry that was really, really strong. And now Lycan only being hit by those initial nerfs, and these other heroes being like super mega hard nerfed. Like Necrophos has been getting nerfed in every single patch. Like this hero is completely trash compared to how he first was when he was originally getting picked and considered cancer. So essentially, Lycan has been just under the radar and not nerfed, and all of these other heroes have been nerfed around Lycan, and that is why I think that he is really, really strong right now compared to a lot of these other heroes. And that's why I think his win rate is at that number 1 mark, because the heroes that were above him got nerfed. Not because he got buffed, but the heroes that were above him got nerfed. Okay, so reason number 3, and this is going to be more of a gameplay reason rather than looking at patches and looking at statistics. This is going to be a gameplay reason. So I think that Lycan is really, really fucking strong because of how versatile he is in Dota. You can pick him as an offlaner, you can pick him as a carry, and the crazy thing about this hero, and my favorite thing about this hero, is that you can build into these utility offlane items like Basilius, like Necrobook, like the Helm of Dominator, and these items would naturally be considered to be kind of like utility items. You might see like a Nature's Prophet pick this up. You might see some like Tidehunter, Abyssal Underlord pick these items up just to be that utility kind of tanky offlaner that's providing these, the purges, the auras, and that's a very typical offlaner thing that you can do. But the thing with Lycan, and this is the terrifying thing about the hero that I think is absolutely broken, is that you fucking build into these utility items and he shreds people in the late game. You build into these utility items that provide you auras, that provide you early pushing, and the hero can still function as a carry. That is insane to me that he's a hero that can both carry at the same time that he can be a utility offlaner. That is absolutely unreal. You're essentially getting 2 heroes for the price of 1 if you pick Lycan, and I think that is a huge reason why he's a 60% win rate, and that should be higher, hero, because you're just getting 2 heroes for 1. Okay, so another reason that I want to cover of why Lycan is so overpowered, in my opinion, is that it's exactly what you're seeing on the screen here in this replay, and it's this fact that if you counter Lycan, especially if he's an offlaner, you can play him in a way where other offlaners would traditionally play, where you don't actually have to fight into those counters. So in this game, you can see that I'm split pushing. There's a Bloodseeker on the enemy team, there's a really strong Necrophos on the enemy team, they have ways to deal with my units, and I'm actually not fighting with my team and still providing a lot of pressure on the enemies and helping my team out by essentially running at every tower. Every single tower in this game was gotten by me, and I wasn't even that farmed. The thing is, all I'm doing is I'm sending my summons at the towers, I'm running at the tower, just running away with my ultimate. I'm playing this kind of split push style that is accessible to you as Lycan, because like you see me getting picked off here, but it doesn't matter. I'm an offlaner. It really doesn't matter. Most importantly, what I'm doing is I'm applying lane pressure. I think this fight is bad, by the way. You should definitely not fight if your offlaner is getting picked off like this. Super dangerous. But in any case, you essentially can pressure lanes. You don't have to fight, and the hero functions amazingly as a split pusher. And having that option available to you on a hero is super good because it essentially makes the hero versatile. That even if you get countered, the hero is still really strong in the game because there's a certain way that you can play it where that counter doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't matter that Bloodseeker can rupture me because I'm not trying to fight. If he ruptures me and I TP away, that's exactly what I want to do in the first place as a split pusher. When you're split pushing, you want to push a lane, apply pressure, get towers if the enemy team is fighting your team, and if they're not fighting your team, then you want to be providing space for your team by getting the enemy team to run at you and use spells. So that's why I said I don't give a fuck that I died there, because that's kind of the point of split pushing. You're applying pressure, you're forcing the enemy team to you, which is giving your team space to farm. So for instance, PA picks up the Battle Fury. In this game, I didn't want to fight. I was very scared of the Bloodseeker. We actually ended up winning the game because I was farming, because I was split pushing. Of course, I was doing it in dangerous areas, which was getting me killed, but I was still farming really well. And the PA was farming with the Battle Fury. So essentially, we had 2 farmed heroes, and the Bloodseeker was the only one farming on their team because they were so busy running around and trying to deal with me and my annoying bullshit-ass split pushing. The thing is, eventually, you get enough items on Lycan that you can fight. Sometimes it's in the early game, sometimes it's in the later game, but you can always get to a point where you just shred the enemy team and you fight. So you can basically play both styles. You can play as a split pusher, you can play as a fighter. If you play one style, it'll eventually lead into the other at a certain point in the game. It just depends on how you want to play, if you want to fight, and having that option available to you is absolutely broken, especially when you consider that this hero does the utility aura thing, he does the pushing thing, he does the mega damage in team fights thing, he builds into the purge coming from the necro unit. Like, this hero does so goddamn much, and it's absolutely perfect as an offlaner. This next clip isn't really an argument. It's more so I wanted to show you guys a clip that I think just demonstrates that even given a rough lane, even given a game where you're completely hard countered and have to split push the whole game, how much damage this hero does in the late game with exclusively utility items. This Bloodseeker, hard counter to me. This Bloodseeker, level 17. I was alone. The Ogre comes over. It doesn't really matter. The Bloodseeker had no TP. That's why I ran at him. I was killing him anyway. I basically just solo killed 2 heroes as an offlaner with fucking utility items. Every other hero in Dota that would go for these utility, Dominator, Necro items, you would do 0 damage, but not Lycan. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I do genuinely appreciate it, guys, and I hope to see you in another video.